Salutations gamers, I am the OgichiGame, and today we're going to be doing something a little different. I am going to be doing a time-lapse video. Now, this isn't a typical time-lapse because I'm going to be talking over it instead of just showing you the time-lapse and, in general, just having, like, some music or something. I'm actually going to be talking about this build. Now, as you can see here, I'm trying to actually map out a circle area. And for a while trying to map out this circle area, I had a lot of difficulty. Now, if you're wondering what I'm trying to build, I figured, the first most simple thing to try to build would be a castle. Minecraft is, out of all the things that you can build in Minecraft, a castle is probably the easiest. Or, well, not necessarily the easiest, but it is the most... I don't know how to put it. Minecraft, the system and all the blocks and the way that Minecraft is, castles just kind of flow. They just fit really well with how everything in Minecraft works. Now, eventually, you'll notice that after a long time of fussing about with this particular circle, I kind of just give up. I destroy the whole thing. And just move on to try to make something else, which I am doing here right now. I just leave one block and then I make a new circle. And I make a mistake here, as you can see on the right side, which I just rectified there, is that I just about screwed up the circle once again. So I made a new circle, just pretty much about the same size, I think, but this time I made sure that everything was the way it should be. Oh, crap. Dagnabbit. I have to control this camera here. I'm actually controlling the camera. Now, the mod I'm using to actually do this, oh, and I'm building a little, separate part of the castle right there. I'm basically planning out everything in wool, and then once I plan everything out in wool, then I move along to add the actual bricks and things into place. Now, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. I'm using a mod to try to do this, and I'm going to try, if I do another video of this, I'm going to record it a different way, but I actually originally used this, and the thing you're seeing up at the top is this editor, which allows me to edit the entirety of these clips that I can put together. But the problem that came about when after I had edited, this build actually took 5 hours that you're going to see. Now, the castle itself is not completed yet, but it is very close to being completed. There's a few things that need to be added, and if I do another one of these Let's Build things that I very much enjoy doing. Oh, and you can see here that, in trying to make another circle, I fail miserably and start making these ovals, and eventually I have to reshape everything, and I'm like, dagnabbit. But if I do another one of these, Let's Build videos, then I will complete the castle, and I'll move on to actually add more around to the surrounding area to build, just in general, like some kind of a town, for the castle itself and such like that. Now, I decided that right there was pretty good. I liked that whole thing. And I picked a few different blocks that I thought were good. I do believe that for this texture pack, I used this light-looking color of cobblestone that they had, which was actually diorite in the vanilla textures. And I just start building up the main tower. Now, this is the largest tower of the castle. So, yeah, everything else is a little smaller than it, but, in general, it's not a super big castle, but it is I would say a fair-sized castle. It is definitely something grand to behold in the center of a great kingdom. However, the kingdom itself has yet to be built yet. Just the castle so far is all that is completed. And even that, there's a few things that still need to be completed on it. But it came along pretty good, I think. It was a long time. I actually started this build at 8 o'clock at night, which was a bad idea because I went all the way until 1 a.m. in the morning doing this 5-hour build of this whole shebaz. It was certainly not the smartest maneuver I ever did. It was certainly not the smartest thing I ever made. Now, if you see the camera jutting about, I'm controlling the camera right now in the editor. Oh, right. Yeah, I did a 5-hour build. I forgot to mention this. Yeah. Did a 5-hour build, and then I spent 2 hours editing all the clips and making this beautifully done video where all the camera angles were nice, nicely shot and everything else and all this shabazz. And then the whole thing just crashed completely, and I lost everything when I tried to render. So there's a new way that I'm going to try to go about recording these videos, and it's not going to be the way that I'm doing it right now, but I might do this way. I might continue to do things this way in the future, but I actually do want to try to do things a little differently. There's a different way that I think I want to go about doing this, where I'm going to... Well, I won't go into detail on it, but it's hopefully going to be better. Now, as you can see, now I really like that. If you're going to try to build something like this, a big castle like this, something that I recommend is listening to a lot of music. Oh, and here you can see, now I've reached the peak that I thought was the tower itself, and I started building the little bowl at the top. Now, if you notice that the tower moves inwards, it's bigger at the bottom than it is at the top, and then it kind of has this bowl sort of shape to it. The purpose of having a larger bottom than there is at the top is it just kind of makes sense in terms of like castles and stuff. You need a base. And if your base is about the same size as the rest of the tower, then it's not very strongly supported, you know. So realistically, you might look at a castle, and usually it gets smaller around the top. It's not going to be bigger at the top. It's not going to be about the same size. It's going to get smaller as it goes to the top because it needs a strong base. Now I started toying around with how I wanted to try to make this whole thing look and put in the crenellations and stuff like that. And I started using cobblestone stairs, which were a darker color. And originally, well, I would have liked to use something that was the same color as the rest of the castle parts, but the contrast, I like the way that the contrast ends up setting it up. Now, right here, I'm just sort of making this more archy, kind of having a bit of an arch to this bowl by adding all these little stairs. You can see it adds a contrast to it and also kind of gives it more of an arch shape to it, and I bring it all the way down there. And once I finish with that, I'm not sure when, there it is. Okay, I start working on the crenellations, and I messed around a little bit with polished diorite, and then I went to the plain diorite, and then I realized, well, you know what? I'm gonna use the cobblestone because, one, it matches the color of the stairs, and also, I don't have anything like... I don't have diorite slabs or anything like that. So I went back and I just kind of had this contrast where there was this layer where there was just all this diorite, but then also I had all this dark cobblestone, and I like the way that it ends up looking in the end, this one tower. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Now, the crenellations I don't think are quite complete yet. I'm not sure what all I have to do. Oh, yes, of course. The ones where the crenellations are taller, where you would actually hide behind, I bring the stone down to imply that there is a greater deal of support for these parts. Now, and then smaller, obviously, for the ones where there needs to be less support. Just to kind of make things look a bit realistic, even though it's more fantasy-based. Now I'm starting to build out, in wool again, a circle to try to put a bit of a top to this tower. You know, if you look up some castles, you might see like cones on the top, and for the tower itself, I decided to put in this Arcania wood, which I thought looked really nice. And then I just start building up the tower bit. There's different kinds of ways that you can go about building the tops of towers like this. Now, this particular one, it kind of starts off a little flat, and then it gets taller and taller as it goes up. And as you can see, now one of the problems that you'll notice pretty quickly is right there, right about there, it becomes square. And that's just how Minecraft's going to be. When you make circles, if the smaller and smaller it goes, it becomes eventually a square. Everything just kind of ends up becoming a square. But I managed to make it look pretty rounded the whole time, so it has a bit of a... It's not pyramid-like, it's got a bit of a dome, and then, well, it curves upwards. Just curves upwards. And I like the way that it ended up looking, and I put some stairs at the bottom there, as you can see. I believe those are stairs. No, those are slabs, maybe? No, they're stairs, yeah. Now here I'm starting to try to build a flag. And originally I wanted to build a Templar's flag. Now, I wasn't going to have it flat like this. I was actually just going to try to get out the design first, and then after I got the design, I was going to give it a bit of a wave. However, in trying to design this Templar's flag, no matter what I did, I could never seem to get the design to a place where I liked it. It was just too hefty. Trying to get the Templar flag to really to really work and be kind of reasonably sized. So eventually I just went for this blue flag, and you see me putting a darker blue wool behind it. That's sort of a cheeky little trick to just kind of make it look like it's shaded. Now, we move down here, and I start building up the tower that comes off of the main tower. Now, don't worry about this main tower. This main tower is not yet complete, and I go back and I do finish it, but I'm just sort of building the bases of everything. And I do kind of decorate here and there, like I'm doing with the crenellations, and actually I do believe this tower that comes off of the main tower I complete altogether. Just because it was the smallest tower, it was the easiest to decorate and just kind of get an idea of how I wanted to decorate everything. So I eventually went for these holes, and I thought, like, okay, do I want cages, or do I just want them open, like archer's holes or whatever? I started with them open, but eventually I do go back, and I decide, okay, I came up with this idea of having parts of as you can see, parts of the side of each of these castles I had clipped a little and then added these wood beams as sort of supports, which I thought looked pretty good. It added a bit of a flair. And I went back and I decided I didn't want those to just be plain archery holes. I wanted to have some stained glass, and I continued that trend for the rest of it. Now I'm in here, and I'm actually putting up a bunch of torches to make everything all bright inside of there. And then I come back out here, and this hole that I dug, I create this archway for it, just to make things look nice. Afterwards, I go to the main tower again, and I begin adding decorations. So I go about adding these sleeves, these little sleeve things in the side of the building that I would later go back and put stained glass into, which I thought was, in my opinion, I thought it was a good idea. And I toy around, as you can see here, with different design ideas, and they didn't really work out, in my opinion. I didn't like them, so I thought, whatever, screw it. And I just go back and I do that same design from the previous thing, which is I just cut out a little area from the side of the building, and I move it inwards, I come out, and I add a few wooden beams. Now, I didn't actually bring all these all the way up, because for whatever reason, when I was designing it, I figured, when I was building it, I thought, I don't want everything to look exactly the same, even if it has the same theme to it. So, for this building, the wooden supports were just like that. They were just partially there, and they add a bit of a difference to the main tower. It doesn't go all the way up, and it just kind of adds this bit of flair that differentiates it from the rest of the buildings. And I really liked the way that it turned out. Now, as you can see here, I'm at the bottom, moving about, very rapidly, mind you, all around the tower, adding more of the base to it. And you'll see me doing this a lot with the other towers, just because I had this part where it was larger at the bottom than it was at the top. I still felt I needed to go back to a lot of these towers and just add stone at the bottom to make it look a bit more realistic. It had a much stronger base to it. For something so massive, it needed a large base. And as you see there, me flying around, I do believe I am working out the different stained glass windows. I believe, anyway. Actually, no. Now I see what I'm doing. Yes. Now I'm currently inside. You can see my name popping up and down a little bit. I am actually on the inside, placing a bunch of stone ahead of time so that I can just come out here and I can carve all the way down and add the wood post over top of it, like I am doing right now, just there. And these ones I actually do bring a fair way up, more so than I did with the previous one, which is at the bottom, giving it even more, giving the individual tower more of its own identity than the rest of the towers. Now I start playing around with a few different designs there, decide I don't like them, then I start moving on to trying to create stained glass. And I was very torn about how I wanted the stained glass to look. I started out, I had this idea that all the stained glass was going to be this orange and green. As you can see me going around, frantically putting all the orange and green in. Then I decided I wanted to mix it up and have orange and green and then red and white, as you can see here, where it's orange and green, red and white, and it's layered as it is here. Eventually, though, and I don't remember how far into the build I decided this. Oh, you can see me toying with a few different ideas there. Eventually, it might be about there, yeah. Eventually, I do go back and I decide, okay, I want everything to be solid colors instead of these sort of weird mixes of colors. But then, even later in the build, I decide I don't like the red. I don't know when that is. I decided I don't like the red, and I just left everything with the same greenish color, which is actually that cyan, but it has this green texture. And I just made everything that same texture, that same color, because I just liked the way it looked better. Now, as you can see here, I'm actually working out the second, it's not a tower per se, it's not one of the spherical towers. I'm working out one of these small, I'm not sure what you would call it. It is technically a tower, but the square ones are, I think they go by a different name that I can't think of right now. Oh, I should have written down a list of some castle terminologies, but I forgot to, and going off the top of my head, I end up forgetting a lot of stuff. Now, like I said before, the main tower, that's the one that's the largest. This one is actually fairly large, though, because, not this area here, but because this tower has a tower which is connected above it as well. Now, as you can see here, I'm working out more of the crenellations, which more of this design I decided on instead of the design up there. Ooh, looks like fog. The design I have here, and each one of the towers, the crenellations are slightly different, but they all have a similar feel to them, but while still remaining very unique. Now, I'm building a circle here, and there is actually a spherical tower, or not spherical, circular, sorry. Spherical would be completely different. Yeah, that would be, I don't even know how that would work. Now, with this tower, I had this idea. Now, because when I went to build the tower itself, oh, and you can see I cut out the sides of the blocky tower. I just didn't want it to be a square completely. I put in these polished diorites because I got the idea as I was placing down the wool and then cutting away the wool and putting the diorite in. I had corners of orange wool and then the plain diorite. And then I had this idea. Oh, I got an idea for that. I'm going to... Oh, hold on. I'm just going to mention this real quick. I also decided right about here, instead of having a regular tower on the top of this, I wanted to have a raised tower. I'm having trouble keeping up with myself in this whole thing. But yeah, I decided I wanted to have this raised tower idea. And it was just kind of more pyramidesque or something, I suppose you could say. It's pretty just... It's all just one height. It just moves. It all just goes up one block in, one block up, one block in, one block up, and sort of stuff like that. And I like that idea, and I added a bunch of these stairs and then decided that I liked the way that the stairs look so much. I went back and I added more stairs to this just to give this more of that roundedness that I liked in this, to give it more of that roofed feeling. Then, of course, I go back to the tower again, and I begin trying to find ways of decorating it more and more, which I'm doing with the crenellations here, and adding very unique little designs to it, interesting ways of how it's better supported, having stronger supports here for where the beams are and stuff like that, which I really like the way that it turned out, and then I go and I start working out, the windows again. Now, the reason that I had the polished diorite is, as I was saying, was I was cutting out all of the different... I was cutting out the wool and then putting the regular diorite in. And then I decided, okay, I saw the orange wool mixed with the diorite with the corners, and then I said, oh, I like the way that it mixes and matches. So I got out the polished diorite and put that up on the corners to give it a different look to it. And then as you saw there, I took a step back just to look at everything, just to see how it was working. And I had this new idea. I thought, okay, this is still kind of flat, and they need more of a way to defend themselves from the river right here. So I decided, okay, since it's a square, the best way to, sort of decorate this is to add more on top of it. So I went back and I added these little bubbles. These little bubbles on two sides facing the river. And there I am up there, and I'm adding wood beams across this to support it with fences and such like that. And then I go back down again, once again, and I start adding more of a base to the castle to give it more of its own sort of... well, not to give it its own... No, sorry. Like the rest of it, adding this base like this, sort of this random rock sort of spread about a bit and stuff like that. And I actually do kind of mess around with this quite a bit to just kind of make it feel real and stuff like that. But I mess around with quite a bit of that. But the reason, again, is just it makes things look more realistic. It's not just straight rock into the ground. It looks like it was built up, like somebody actually took the stones and built it. Like, an actual castle would be a bit more. I don't know if they would be that extreme at some point, but it's my castle, so I can kind of do what I want. And this is, again, one of those towers, one of those little bubble towers I was talking about, and I made this very nice little archway that I was quite proud of the way that it looked, using stairs to improve the way that the arch was. And then I went back up here and just added green little, just some green bits here as the glass, just to make it the way that the tower was set up. The general theme of it was just having those cyan is the actual color, but they look very greenish to me anyway. I think the texture pack makes them look that way, but anyway, the cyan, whatever, stained glass windows, same about color, and that was basically the theme with those. I kept thinking, calling this, the Emerald City, because it had an emerald color to it, but I decided, I don't really like that. Now, what you could see me building here is one of the many bridges, or sort of walls. This is one of the walls that I built. There are 4 total walls that are connecting each of these 4 different towers. 4 main big towers, each tower having its own sort of defensibility and purposes and all sorts of stuff. And actually, in a perfect world, I should have actually had this tower facing, I think, the other way now that I look back on it in retrospect, but at the same time, I guess, it can face any sort of way that it needs to. Oh, and let me show you these cool little things right here. I actually started messing around, and I decided, I thought, okay, well, I can't have it supported on, beams or whatever, because originally I thought, I would love to have, beams supporting it, but then I thought, oh, wait, but it's a wall. If it was beams, people could just walk right through it. So I, of course, went back. So I just decided, okay, well, instead of that, I'll just make these sort of archways, these divots within the wall that just sort of make it look unique, and give it more of that just kind of built feel, this nice little feel. I'm not even sure how to really describe it. Just a beautifully decorated sort of building, because a lot of medieval castles, while they were also built to be very structurally sound and defensible, they were also built with a lot of these beautiful little designs in them just to set them apart and really look at the castle. There's all kinds of these beautiful designs put into them. And if I was doing a cathedral, those are especially beautifully designed. And what I'm doing in there is I'm actually just working out these archways, and of course I actually go back and I added all these stairs to give for different reasons. Anyway, what I'm building here is the second square tower, and this square tower is of course defending them against the sea, because they need to be defended from the sea. Now, of course, being attacked from from the land is also very valid, and I might also like to point out, there's a very good reason why I kind of chose this area. One, this plot of land was very beautiful right here. This little island within kind of a bay-ish area or whatever. I really thought that this area was very beautiful, but also a castle surrounded entirely by water. There's no reason, the reason that a lot of castles had moats, the reason that castles built moats in the first place is having moats, one, is where the sewage went, but also a moat prevented people from getting into the castle too easily. People can knock down the walls, but if you can't reach the walls in the first place, being able to knock down the walls is not so easy. So having it completely surrounded by water is ideal for most castles. Of course, though, being open to the sea is not so good either because, well, in a way, having it open to the sea is okay, but it does leave the issue that you are going to be attacked by naval units, and so you need defendable positions against the navy, and whatever navy may come. Now, I'm building this tower here, and this is probably the third tallest tower, I would say. Yes, the third tallest tower, the second tallest being the one to its immediate right, as you can see there, but it is technically the second largest. Even though it may not be the tallest, it is technically the second largest. It is a very large tower, and actually, for this one, I was a little different. I did not add, as you can see there, it did not get taller. It did not get thinner as it went up, as I did with the main tower. I don't originally know why I had made that decision to do that, but I did. But I do add quite a bit of a base. I do add a base, making this look more realistic, like it is supported, not just some beam up into the sky, which is good. And as you can see, as I'm working there, I'm adding new decorations. And this tower has its own sort of style of decoration to its siding, as well as some windows, a couple windows, but the windows are done a little differently for this tower. And I kind of like the idea that these towers all have their own unique feel to them. The tower, the second tallest tower with the open top, but roof on top of it, you can see, can look atop of the mountain, and also look and survey the area immediately to its left there into the valleys. While as this larger tower here can defend against the land immediately in front of it. And the blocky tower you see facing the sea, which isn't complete yet, is, you'll see, it is actually quite a strong-looking tower, and very defensible as well. And of course, there is more to be added to the castle itself, as well as the surrounding area, just to make more of a kingdom. But every kingdom needs its castle, so for this build in particular, of course, it was just the castle that needed to be, the big meat and potatoes of the castle needed to be done. Just a few minor details need to be fixed. Now, as you can see, I have this very beautifully constructed little, I'm not really sure what you want to call it, but polished diorite sidings here, and then a couple little green, the emerald-colored stained glass that I had, which, again, I thought looked, I loved the way that this all looked. It's a very bright-colored kind of, I'm not really sure, it's like a kingdom of light, in a way. A beautiful kingdom of light. Or maybe just a regular old kingdom. Either way, I very much love the way that it looks. I am very proud of the way that it does end up looking, and you can see the crenellations on this one are very, very big, very strong looking. And this pillar itself, this whole tower is very, very well structured and strong, and it's not quite complete. I do go back and I do change quite a bit, I think. Not a whole ton, but I do make this look more powerful at the base, which is something very important. It is important to make sure that it looks powerful at its base. And of course, I also go through here and I add some polished diorite to the side just to make it look a bit different. don't want it to be completely all the same color throughout. Want to have a bit of a change here and there. There we go. Yeah, so you can see me there. Cutting away at that and adding that. And then, there I go. I start adding the base, finally, to make this tower look very sturdy, very strong, like it's grounded very thoroughly. Not super. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so you can see already it looks so much stronger just adding that base. And then I go on to start working on the crenellations for this tower over here. And it has similar crenellations to the other square tower. However, they are slightly different. A lot of it is quite bigger because of different sizings, and there's a few little areas, as you can see, that I added just to make the whole thing look very, very sturdy, very powerful and strong, which I felt was very important for the sea-bound part of this the sea-bound tower that needs to defend against, navies and such like that. Of course, the castle itself would have its own navies. Oh, and as you can see over there, I changed everything to the emerald-colored stained glass, which I thought was a good idea. And you can see I'm adding these little corner bits to the crenellations just to give it more decoration, but also it just makes things look really, really strong looking. And here I am. I immediately start adding the base as one of the first things, which is very good. Very good of me to. It's good to keep up with, of course, the style that you go for the castles, but also just to remember certain aspects when building the castles that just make the castle look stronger, make everything just, in my opinion, just a bit better. Just makes it look more realistic. And obviously I'm not going for pure realism with this. I do want this to be very fantasy-like and look just absolutely beautiful, almost like I'm building a cathedral, but a castle. But still, it's still, there are certain things about realism that you want to keep in mind when doing this, which I tried to. I tried my best. And I do believe that I succeeded in some sense. Some sense I did. And I'm working in there just a little bit, just add some wood. And then I start building the second tower, of course. And originally I started that level, but then I decided I don't like it, so I cut it all away, and I moved it down one more level, just to make it, again, just to differentiate things a little bit. I thought it was too close to the other tower in terms of height, and I wanted to bring that bubble down, so I brought it down to just add more kind of differentiation to it, and I liked the way that it looked. And while it did, as you can see me in there messing around with half slabs and stuff like that, it did make things a little complicated, but it was worth it. It was worth it to make this beautiful looking tower. And with all that done, all that was left for me to go back and do was finish up all of these walls. Everything else I had done was, well, it was done. So I went back and I started working out all the walls. So first of all, I just built up the walls themselves, as you see here. Just built them up, just like that. And then I go back and I add the other details. But to start with, just the walls themselves, built them up, like so. And then I do add the wood, but I don't do anything else really besides that. I actually go back and I do everything else. I build up the rest of these walls, and then I add the other details. And we're going to hold it at this position right now for a moment, and just let you see, as the walls are being constructed. Just kind of let the time-lapse speak for itself a little bit. Yeah. Not a whole lot going on. Now, I wish I could make this go faster, but 8 times speed is as fast as I can go with this. So, sorry. Well, I could make it go faster, but I'd have to go through the whole... I'd have to go through the timelines and do some certain editings in the software, but again, render when I did that, spent all that time on it, when I went to render everything, it just kind of just failed miserably on me. And, yeah, not good times, I can tell you that. But it's okay, It works out in the end. I'm gonna move over here just so you can see this being built again. I'm just gonna hold this at this position for a moment. I think this is a pretty good position. And there's not a whole lot to say really about what's happening here, except the fact that, well, I'm just building the walls up as they needed to be built. And yeah, it looks absolutely, this castle, very proud of the way that it came out. I hope everyone else, I hope all of you will agree that, it is pretty beautiful looking. It's a nice looking castle. It's obviously not the biggest, but, you know, I plan to build more on it, but, I mean, this was already a 5-hour build as it was. It was just me working on it. It's quite a lot to get done. And there's still a few things that need to be done. Something that some of you may have noticed already, which will be added the next time that I go to work on this build, is there's no castle door. Meaning there is no entrance into the castle. You can see me there. There's an interesting thing I want to talk about the grass down there. I was cutting out the grass to make everything level, and originally I wanted to actually put wood down, but then I decided I didn't like that idea. I didn't like the idea of having a bunch of wood. I like the idea more of having it look all natural and such like that, so I just kept the grass, and I replaced some grass, and it definitely made things a lot faster. Probably saved myself a good 20 minutes of just digging and placing wood. Yeah. But yeah, so a main gate, I certainly need to add that when I go to work on this again. But also, when I go to work on this again, the gate is obviously not the only thing I'm going to be working on, though. I will be adding I do want to build a whole kingdom in a town, and I would love, please give me suggestions in the comments on what you want me to do for this kingdom. Like, what should I add to it? Should I add a wizard's tower? Should I add a blacksmithery? Should I add a cathedral somewhere? What all should I do to make this look, you know, just an absolutely stunning, massive kingdom? And of course, there's more than just one kingdom that I want to do. I want to actually go over to the desert, which is close by here. Not too close, but close enough that I can put a kingdom there too, its own kingdom. And I've been thinking about making something with red clay over there, a kingdom of red clay, like a real-life counterpart, Petra. If anybody knows anything about Petra, it is a kingdom built it was a city in the desert, the Red City. And it is completely made out of red clay. And I don't know that, it's in a dangerous part of the world. It is in the Middle East. You used to be able to visit it if you went to Israel. But I don't know that with the tourism, if you can go to Petra anymore because of how dangerous it is over there. Which is kind of sad, but the Red City, from what I understand, I've been told about it, and I've been told that it is absolutely beautiful, so I thought, you know, there's red stained clay, I thought, you know, a kingdom of red clay in the desert, like Petra, that I thought, you know, it's Minecraft, but still, I thought that would be absolutely beautiful to look at, and I might do that too, but anyway, but for now, this kingdom we want to focus on. So, again, yeah, please, leave in the comments, what do you want me to do with this kingdom? And I'm going to pause this in a minute after I finished up all these roofs and stuff, and just kind of take a step back and show you all what really this kingdom looks like as it stands now. Well, the castle of the kingdom. The kingdom itself has not been built, but there's the castle. But yeah, really, please, tell me in the comments. I really would like some ideas on what all I could build, because I could come up with a couple ideas, a few here and there, but I would really love to know what you guys want to see. You know, I want to make this almost like a community kingdom, like your kingdom, the kingdom of the community. I don't know what to call it. By the way, I would like to point out that all of these different walls, different siding. Oop, sorry about that. Resume. Here, press play again. Sorry about that. That pops up every once in a while. It's really annoying. Okay. So yeah. So I'm just going to take a pan around as he's working on the inside of that, and just show you how beautiful this kingdom really is. How awe-inspiring this kingdom actually is. It's absolutely stunning, this castle. In my opinion. Absolutely stunning. And I'm quite proud of the way that it came out. I hope that you would all agree with me that it is quite a beautiful looking castle. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Very nice looking castle. And please, suggestions. Should I maybe make the castle bigger, in fact, even? Maybe I could add, branch out more towers from the castle. I do like the idea that this is sort of the central castle-y sort of thing, the area. And I don't want to add any more to the towers, but I might add more towers. Now, of course, I do want to add... I already know that I want to add a front gate. I'm thinking about having the front gate here-ish, or maybe over here, and connecting it to the water. I would like to connect it to the water itself and have... almost like how the Disney Tower has a water-based entrance. I like that idea. I might copy that idea a little bit and make my own water-based entrance for this castle, and then have 2 land bridges from the castle. Kind of like that, but obviously this isn't Disney Tower. It's very different. Very, very different. But yeah, so please tell me what you all think of the tower. What do you think, or the castle and the kingdom? What do you think should be added to the kingdom? What do you think, should be added to the castle, maybe? Do you think, I should try a different build project, maybe build something else? Please comment about what it is. I would love to hear your suggestions. And also, just let me know in general if you like these videos, if you like seeing time-lapses. If you want to see more of these Let's Build type videos, alright, just let me know. Anyway, thank you all. If that's all, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Bye-bye! Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked that video, make sure to hit like on it and share it with your friends. Otherwise, hit subscribe for more awesomeness from the channel.